Chosen one. Put everything down for a moment. What you're about to hear might change how you see your shadow forever, just 72 hours ago, in a realm beyond time. Something happened, not a metaphor, not a vision, a moment so real, so raw, that even the angels fell silent. Not with reverence, but with fear. They had seen something that shouldn't be possible. A human being flawed, wounded, chosen, stepped into the darkest part of themselves, not to escape, not to surrender, but to fight for something sacred, to protect their light. And when the battle ended, they came back, unchanged, uncorrupted, still glowing with the same light they entered with. This wasn't supposed to happen. Spiritual law had always said, whoever touches darkness becomes darkness. It was written in eternity. It was confirmed in the fall of Lucifer, the bright morning star. Isaiah 14:12 tells us, "How you have fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning." He didn't fall because of darkness outside of him. He fell because he touched pride. One brush of corruption, and everything collapsed. There was no return. That's the rule. That's the line. Cross it, and you don't come back. But now, someone has broken that rule. That someone is you. You crossed into what others ran from. You used the strength that lives in your shadow. Not to harm, not to hate, but to guard what's holy in you. And then you returned, not with shame, not with scars, but with silence behind you. Because even heaven wasn't sure how to respond. Has there been a moment, maybe recently, when you felt yourself shift, when someone pushed too far, and you responded? Not kindly, not softly, but with a fierce, grounded strength that surprised even you. And yet, somehow, you didn't lose yourself in that moment. You didn't become bitter. You didn't stay angry. That wasn't you breaking. That was your dark side standing guard. You've survived things others didn't see. You've buried feelings just to keep breathing. You've learned how to harden when you needed to, not because you're cruel, but because the softness wasn't safe. Maybe you've judged yourself for that. Maybe others have, too. But what if I told you your shadow wasn't there to destroy you? What if it was sent to protect something holy, something heaven still doesn't fully understand? Let's talk about that. You are not divided. You are not broken in two. You have two sides, yes, but they are not at war. They are learning how to work together. There's a difference between being split and being whole with contrast. Spiritual maturity doesn't mean silencing your strong side. It means knowing when to stand firm and when to stay quiet, when to fight and when to forgive. It's not easy. Even the angels don't fully understand it. 1 Peter 1:12 says, "Even angels long to look into these things." What things? The way grace reaches into the human soul. The way brokenness and holiness can live in the same heart. The way someone like you with fire and compassion can carry both and not be consumed. You're not the first. Think about Peter. One moment. He draws his sword and cuts off a soldier's ear to defend Jesus. Next, he's denying he even knows him. Hot and cold, bold and afraid. A man of action and a man of regret. But Jesus didn't throw Peter away. He didn't say, "You're too unstable." No. He said, "I will build my church on you." He used both sides. The fire and the fear, the strength and the sorrow. That's what wholeness looks like. Not perfection, not always getting it right, but being willing to learn, to listen, to change, and to show up again. Maybe you're like that older father, the one who once stood in front of a school principal, fists clenched, ready to defend his son, the same man who later knelt by his child's bedside, tears on his face, praying for peace. Both moments were real. Both came from love. Neither cancels the other. You are not one or the other. You are both. And that doesn't make you weak. It makes you ready. If you're hearing this, it's because the truth about your dual nature was never meant to reach you. But it's too late now. Somewhere deep down, you already know. Your darkness didn't try to destroy your light. It protected it. You were taught to be ashamed of your edge, to hide the fire, to soften every sharp place until nothing real was left. But sometimes it was your shadow that kept you standing. Not all darkness is evil. Sometimes it's the shield that formed when no one else showed up. Sometimes it's the reason you didn't break. Look at Joseph, thrown into a pit by his brothers, sold like property, falsely accused, forgotten. Yet through it all, he didn't curse God. He didn't quit. That pain didn't make him cruel, but it did make him wise. By the time he stood in Pharaoh's court, he wasn't just a dreamer. He was a man who had survived betrayal and didn't let it turn him bitter. That part of his story, the dark part, wasn't just background noise. It was training. Maybe that's what your darkness has been all along, like the woman who walked through divorce with nothing but prayer holding her up. She became strong not by choice, but by survival. Now she helps other women find their voice. Not in spite of the pain, but because she remembers it too well to let others walk alone. So know your dark side isn't your enemy. It's the version of you that stood guard when the world got cold and unfair. It's not meant to take over, but it was never meant to be erased. It was meant to protect what's sacred you. God doesn't destroy your dark side. He transforms it. He doesn't erase your past. He redefines it. In Isaiah 45:7, God says, "I form the light and create darkness. The Lord do all these things. Both sides, bright and shadowed, are under his hand. Nothing is wasted. Nothing is outside his reach." We think the goal is to eliminate anger, fear, and control. But what if those instincts were never meant to be deleted, only redirected? Take Moses, before the Red Sea, before the miracles. He was a man with rage in his blood. He saw injustice and reacted violently. He was killed. Then he ran. But God didn't cancel him. He met him in the wilderness, and over time, he reshaped that fire. Moses still had that edge, but now it has a purpose. The boldness that once destroyed became the courage to stand before Pharaoh, not as a murderer, but a messenger. His dark side wasn't erased, it was redeemed, and maybe that's your story too. Like the man who spent years in the military, saw things no one should, came home with scars inside and out, struggled to find peace. But then something shifted. God didn't tell him to forget his past. He used it, Because even your edge has a calling. Even your fire has a purpose. And in God's hands, nothing is wasted. Today, that man leads a ministry in one of the toughest neighborhoods in his city. Why do people listen to him? Because he's been through battles, and it shows. When he talks about spiritual warfare, he's not quoting theory, he's speaking from the trenches. His discipline, his focus, that warrior mind, it didn't disqualify him. It became the very thing God used to build something sacred. That's how God works. He doesn't waste your wounds. He doesn't silence your edge. He takes what was once raw, even dangerous, and gives it direction. You don't have to pretend that part of you doesn't exist. You just have to surrender it. Because in His hands, even your darkness becomes light. Have you felt it lately, that moment something rises in you, fierce but clear, not from hate, but love? You became fire to protect what's sacred, and then return to peace. If you've ever stood up without hate, if you've ever loved without losing strength, you've already terrified of what can't be seen. Because the world, and even the spiritual realm, doesn't know what to do with someone like you. Someone who walks in both fire and peace. Someone who knows when to be still and when to draw the line. God doesn't just use your softness. He uses your steadiness, the part that says, this far and no further. There's a word for that gatekeeper in Nehemiah. After the walls of Jerusalem were rebuilt, he didn't walk away. He stationed guards. He appointed gatekeepers because protection isn't weakness, it's wisdom. Sometimes, love looks like defense. Sometimes, your calmest response is holding the line. Think of the single mother tender, prayerful, soft-spoken. But when her child is threatened, she shifts, not with rage, but with clarity. She protects with presence, then returns to peace. That's not an inconsistency. That's spiritual intelligence. The gatekeeper in you is not cold. It's committed. It honors what God has given by refusing to let it be trampled. And yes, it may confuse people. They'll ask, you were so gentle yesterday. What happened? But you know you're not changing. You're choosing. There's mercy that's open and wide, and there's mercy that's firm and watchful. Both are love. God isn't afraid of that part of you. He gave it to you, just like He gave Nehemiah the wisdom to build and the authority to protect. He's doing the same with you. So don't silence your gatekeeper. Don't be ashamed when you raise your voice, draw a line, or stand your ground. That wasn't a failure. That was a holy defense. And after the defense comes rest. After the fire comes peace. Because real strength knows how to return to stillness. There was a law, old, unbreakable. Whoever touches darkness becomes darkness. It was a spiritual law, not just a warning, but a sentence. Once crossed, there was no going back. Lucifer proved it. Once radiant, full of light, he let pride enter just once. And that was enough. He fell instantly, from glory to ruin, from light to shadow, no return. That's how it always worked. Touch darkness, become it. Fall and stay fallen. But then, you happened. You were betrayed, wounded, angry, maybe full of rage, But somehow, you didn't stay there. You walked into the shadows, but didn't become them. You carried pain, but didn't spread it. You were tempted to hate, but chose to forgive. In doing so, you broke the old law. You became something new. A soul who crossed through darkness and came back shining. That's not a weakness. That's transformation. You are proof that grace rewrites the rules. You're not just surviving the dark, you're redeeming it. Think of the man who nearly lost everything to addiction. Alcohol stole years, strained his family, and made him unrecognizable. But God met him in that place. Not after he cleaned up, but in it. And that man didn't just get sober. He became a counselor. He looked others in the eye and said, I know what it's like to break something, but I also know how to rebuild. He didn't erase the past. He brought light into it. And so have you, maybe without even knowing it. You didn't just return from the fall. You came back carrying healing. You are evidence that grace runs deeper than failure. That light doesn't always avoid the dark. Sometimes it enters it and brings something out. You're not losing your mind. You're being reshaped. That tension between light and dark, grace and grit, it's not confusion. It's formation. You're not broken. You're being built. When you feel pulled in two directions, don't rush to fix it. Sometimes pressure is not punishment. It's preparation. Job knew this. He lost everything: his wealth, health, even his children. He sat in silence, covered in ashes, surrounded by voices saying, you must have done something wrong. Maybe you've been there too, where questions are loud and God feels quiet. But Job never let go of his faith, even in confusion and pain. He stayed, and in the end, God didn't just restore him, he reshaped him. Job came out with a deeper understanding of who God is and who he was. We often think growing older means we should have it figured out. But life keeps revealing new layers. And sometimes there's a quiet ache, a list of I should have, a whisper of it's too late. But God doesn't speak in regret. He speaks in redemption. He turns pain into compassion, mistakes into wisdom. You're not too far gone. You didn't miss your moment. You're not being torn apart. You're being strengthened at the core, like steel in fire, like clay in the potter's hands. If you feel pressure, if the process feels uncomfortable, breathe. You're not being punished. You're being refined. You're being made ready for something more. This isn't the end of your story. It's the chapter where God uses everything you've walked through, even the parts you thought disqualified you. God doesn't call the perfect. He calls the complicated. Those who've wrestled with doubt, failed in public, been on both sides of the story. You don't need to be polished to be chosen. Often, it's your contradictions that make you powerful in God's hands. Look at Paul. Before he was an apostle, he was Saul, a man who persecuted Christians, and yet, God didn't wait for him to clean up. He called him mid-journey. Paul's past didn't disqualify him. It gave depth to his words. Maybe you feel that tension too. You've said things you regret. You've stood in places you now speak against. But that doesn't mean you're out. It means you understand both sides, and that's powerful. There's a man who once mocked faith at work. He'd roll his eyes at prayer. But slowly, his heart changed. Now he leads a prayer group in that same office. Not because he's perfect, but because he remembers what it's like to doubt. God's not looking for clean resumes. He's looking for real people. If your story has twists and turns good, that means you've lived, and it means you're ready. What they fear isn't your darkness. It's that you walked through it and came back glowing. You're not an angel, not a demon. You're something the world can't quite explain, a living contradiction. You've carried wounds and wisdom, held joy and grief in the same breath, broken things and rebuilt them. You're not defined by your worst day, not limited to your best. You're the kind of soul heaven watches not for perfection, but because you walked through fire and didn't lose your light. That scares the enemy, because he's seen what happens when someone stops running from their past and starts using it as fuel. You don't need to be pure light. You don't have to hide the shadows. Both sides serve the same God. Your softness isn't a weakness. Your strength isn't hardness. They were formed on purpose. You're proof that grace lives in complexity, that holiness exists inside history. God often chooses the unexpected, and He chose you. So keep going, keep growing, keep standing in truth and tenderness. When you enter a room, you carry more than presence. You carry perspective. You carry authority shaped by experience. Light that's known darkness and wasn't overcome by it. You're not alone. You never were. Heaven walked with you. And now heaven smiles, not because you got it all right, but because you didn't quit. You rose. And that's what makes you unstoppable.